So in a move that kind of surprised nobody, but is still nonetheless frustrating and annoying, Sony has come out with a blog post confirming new price changes that are hitting their hardware lineup. Again, it's not surprising. We knew that this was almost certainly coming. The CFO of Sony, she was saying for like months that they anticipated having to raise prices with the DRAM shortage, with macroeconomic conditions and things like that. So this isn't surprising that they've done it. I'm mainly surprised, for one, that they are as steep as they are. So we'll run through this, and then I want to talk about the broader implications of this, because obviously this is bigger than any one of us at this point in the generation. If you have a PlayStation, you still have a PlayStation. It's not like I'm not going to buy one is really going to affect their bottom line. But I do think that this has massive implications for later this year and then for the start of next generation as well, and the end of this generation. But what exactly changed? Well, these changes are going to start on April 2nd. So they're giving people runway. If you want to do a run on the banks and, you know, buy up all the PS5s and PS5 Pros, you can do that right now at the current pricing, which already was pretty steep, but you can do that if you want. Okay. So, and some of you in chat were actually saying earlier in the stream that you had already done that you were already buying up. One of you said that you bought a PS5, I think Pro, and it was being delivered tomorrow, right? Yeah, Buttery Cheeks with a 5 said, after Sony's announcement today, I immediately pulled the trigger on a PS5 Pro on Amazon. It arrives tomorrow. Yeah, I think a lot of people are probably doing the same thing. What has changed? With continued pressures in the global economic landscape, we've made the decision to increase the price of PS5, PS5 Pro, and PlayStation Portal Remote Player globally. We know that these changes, price changes, impact our community, and after careful evaluation, we found this was a necessary step to ensure we can continue to deliver innovative, high-quality gaming experiences to players worldwide. And these are the prices as outlined in each territory. PS5 in the US is going to $650. About $650. PS5 digital, so no disc drive, is $600. And the Pro is jumping all the way to $900. So my understanding, based on my memory, which is not great, is that the PS5 is going up $100, as is the digital, and the PS5 Pro is going up $150. $150. Okay. The UK, the PS5 base goes to $570. The digital goes to $520, and then the Pro goes to $790. In Europe, it goes to 650 euros, 600 euros for the digital, and then 900 euros for the Pro. And then in Japan, it's roughly 98,000 yen for the base, all the way up to 138,000 roughly yen for the Pro. Also, in terms of the PlayStation Portal, these are also going up in price to 250 in the US, 220 in the UK, and then 250 euros in the EU. Again, I'm not surprised they raise prices. I'm surprised they're raising them as much as they are. $100 and $150 for the Pro, respectively. That's a lot, dude. And just to put this in perspective again, so now it's at $650. Like at the start of this generation, I remember the discourse was like, I don't know, man, I think 400 might be a non-starter. I think that might be the end all be all. If they dare to price this at $399, there's no way that goes right. There's no way this goes well if they price it at $399. $499 might even be a stretch too, man. Like I can't even believe if they're going to do that. That'd be crazy. And here we are. Here we are. It's a little wild. And this is not the first time that they've raised prices, to be very, very clear. They've done it numerous other times. So, you know, they rose the price by $50 in August of 2025. Accessories were not affected. And then they did another, of course, they're doing another global increase to this in April. It's just like absolutely crazy that we're in a spot where we're seeing price hikes. Again, normally in generations, the prices plummet as the generation goes by. I remember in 2016 getting my like first console out of high school and everything. And I got a PS4 Slim and it was bundled with Uncharted 4 and it was $299. I feel like such a boomer. Back in my day, it was $299. But it was $299, came bundled with a Game of the Year contender, and you were good to go. You just walk in, grab it. It was great. Now, you know, and adjusted for inflation. I mean, so like adjusted for inflation, if we just go 2016 from that, and I don't know when that would have been, maybe October, $299 to February of 2026, that still is the equivalent of $400 today, but like it had discounted that much. Like it had made that much of a difference. They were able to lower the price. So even if you're saying adjusted for inflation, that's where it would be. You know, if we go forward to February of this and we go back in time to even at the start of the generation, okay, let's go January of 2020. What is $899 today? What would that have been the equivalent to at the start of the generation? Still $700 for the Pro. At the start of the generation would be where they're pricing it. Like, it's not just a matter of inflation. It's also other macroeconomic factors like the RAM crisis, which is not an inflation. I mean, it is inflationary, but it's not raw inflation. You know, it's a sort of a premium that's being paid on all of the hardware because everything's being bought up and gobbled up by the big data centers. So I think that this is crazy. And what's effectively happening, what this effectively does is it really starts to price out a lot of people. Like, let's be real. It really, really starts to price out a lot of people. I feel for like the high schoolers, the college students who are already struggling enough just to get by, who now this becomes real tough, dude. This is a tough thing to figure out. Really, really tough. Just buy a PC at that point. Unfortunately, PC is not immune to the pressures either. I mean, PC, yeah, you can build something, especially if you go used. I think you could get something really solid for 900 if you're like, if you know what you're doing and you're buying used. But something new, like a gaming laptop, everything's gone up so much that it's not that simple anymore, you know? It's rough. So there's no respite. There's no place of refuge where you can be safe and get really good deals on gaming hardware right now. It's just all freakishly expensive. So where does this leave us like over the next couple of years? Well, what happens when you raise prices on stuff? Inevitably, if the product stays the same and the demand is, you know, at a decent spot, but like for the PS5, it's been decent. But when you raise the price, all of a sudden, it sends a shockwave through the whole market, and the number of people that can afford that price drops. The scoff price is certainly being encroached on, and there's going to be a lot of people who were considering getting a PS5 who now, I don't know, they might scoff at it. They might walk away and not bother. I think that the at least part of this, tinfoil hats. Okay, everybody ready? Tinfoil hats. Okay, tinfoil hats on. Prepare. I can't prove it. I have no secret knowledge, but I suspect, let's just be real, they expect to sell a lot of PlayStation 5s when GTA 6 launches. It's one of the reasons late last year, I remember we talked on stream about how I was expecting they were going to raise prices for this and for the online before GTA 6 launched. I'm sure they did need to raise prices to keep in pace with the RAM crisis and all that. But I think, you know, if they only needed to raise prices by $50, they're like, maybe we push it by 100. And then for the Pro, which will be the definitive place to play GTA 6, we raise it by 150. I can't prove it. But why wouldn't they? If they think that they're going to get millions and millions and millions and millions of people coming in and buying PS5s to get into the generation with GTA 6, why wouldn't they try to, you know, scrape up as much profit off the top than as they possibly could? I think at this price point, it starts to get to the point where there's going to be some people who are not in the industry, who have maybe not upgraded since the PS4 gen or have just been on the outside for a long time. When they see the price tag at like 900, I think there's going to be a lot of people who are like, do I really want to do that? Do I really want to do this? $900 for GTA 6. Yeah, it's GTA 6, but $900 plus the game, which is probably 80. You know, you're at 1,000 before you walk out the door with tax and everything. It starts to get really, really tough. And I think effectively this just prices a lot of people out. Now, I'm sure they've done lots of math and they have a lot of market analysis and they've done surveys and stuff to figure out what price point becomes like the line. Where is the line that you can't cross? And I'm sure they've done analysis to try and figure that out. And maybe genuinely, maybe it is that they've done research and they found that a lot of people at $990 or at $900, $899 and $650, there may be a lot of people out there who see that price point and go, yeah, it's a lot. I'll just buy now, pay later. I'll just finance it, whatever. And maybe that's like the saving grace for them and they're just relying on financing your console, which is kind of crazy to think of that, like, that's where we are. It's like, yeah, you finance your car, your house, and your gaming console. But that, I think, is part of this. We've seen in Europe, for example, I don't know if you guys have seen this, but PlayStation has started offering something through the UK, which is a lease program where you can lease your PS5. What? You can lease. With Flex, you can lease a PlayStation 5 with no upfront cost on a super flexible monthly rolling plan that you can cancel anytime. Choose 12, 24, or 36-month terms to enjoy even lower monthly payments. Upgrade to the latest PS5 console and cutting-edge accessories like PSVR 2 with just a few clicks. Like, they're literally leasing consoles. It wouldn't surprise me if this is a huge component of their broader strategy for next gen. If like part of PlayStation's strategy when they launched the PlayStation 6 at $1,000 is to be like, yeah, you can get it for $1,000 or $19.99 a month. You'll own nothing and you'll like it. Wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me if that's what they're doing. Never say never. So I think what happens is that this prices people out, the sales of the consoles will drop. And when that happens, I think inevitably you see broader spending drop because you have less people coming into the ecosystem that are spending money and buying games that you take 30% cuts of. Like it will affect the marketplace more generally. And then on top of that, you're going to see year over year, I think, continued drops in momentum for the PS5. And it'll start to fall behind the PS4 generation, which was a tough generation to like follow, to be fair, but it'll start to fall behind. Investors will start to panic and freak out. What do you mean growth is lower? What do you mean that growth is slowing? What do you mean that user acquisition is slowing? And they're going to start to panic. And then that's going to put pressure on executives, and they're going to do a big executive shakeup right before the start of next generation. And the new generation will be helmed by people that either double down on this and just continue raising prices to try and milk the high earners more, or they'll start to get some actual competition from like Xbox that forces them to like lower prices, cut them down. Because this is why we've also stressed that competition is so important. When you have no competition, like why would PlayStation need to lower prices? When people see Xbox as sort of like if you're going to get a console, get a PlayStation. Get a PS5 Pro. That's like the definitive console right now. When there's no competition, there's no pressure on them to really compete and to lower prices and be competitive in that way. They're just kind of playing against themselves. They're playing against PC as well, and maybe Nintendo to a lesser extent. But this is why like competition from Xbox versus PlayStation has always been really, really healthy. Xbox crap in the bed right before the launch of the Xbox One helped push the PS4 in a very pro-consumer direction, which I think really helped it through the entire generation. Now that there's not a lot of competition after the mismanagement from the last 5 to 6 years, they can just do whatever they want. And we've seen that, I think, pretty clearly. Hopefully, if PlayStation continues to do this type of thing, they kind of are opening the door for some competition to come in, whether that comes from Nintendo or the Steam machine, or if that comes from Xbox figuring their crap out, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. Maybe that's how this gets fixed, but I think that they're just going to continue doubling down on this. And one of the aspects of this that you need to remember, let's see. Yeah. So this is some of the data that you need to bear in mind with this stuff. Dominant US spending share. This is backed up. This is, articles that have been written a lot. But like this, the top 10% of US earners account for nearly half of all consumer spending. This is a stat you better believe Sony's paying attention to, and all of these other people. This is true also globally. This is not, there's some markets where it's not true, but this is a trend we've seen across the globe where high earners are spending the vast majority of the money, which kind of makes sense, but it reiterates something that we've seen where like there's a lot of people like coming out of the 2008 financial crisis where a lot of the lower income earners were still spending, at least in line with high earners or lower. But as time has gone by, the people who are not doing well financially have done progressively worse, have less and less money, are spending less and less. And the people who have more are spending more and more because they're doing better and better. And this is the divide that's kind of dangerous, because what happens when I see that like the PS5 Pro is being like spiked to 900, to me, it seems like they're just doubling down on trying to appeal to the high income, the high spenders, maybe people who don't even have high income but are okay with using debt to buy things. And so the people that are willing to spend a lot of money, and then they leave the people with less money behind. They don't really care about them, which I think just sucks. I think it just sucks, because I think gaming is supposed to be like a great equalizer that can unify everybody together, you know, but instead it's starting to become a very expensive hobby, which is unfortunate. But ultimately, like what happens here? How does this adjust or get better? Well, I don't think, frankly, it gets better this generation. I think this continues to happen through the end of this generation. I don't foresee like major price cuts. You probably see like a Black Friday sale where they take it from $900 to $750. So just back to the regular price that it was. I think you'll see that, but I think the prices will hold steady through this generation. Once you start to see RAM prices decrease, once you see some of that stuff, you might see a correction and like deeper sales, but I don't think the permanent price changes. Start of next generation will be really telling though. And that's why I think the timing of next gen is going to be crucial, because if it happens in like late 2027, I think there's still going to be a lot of holdover effects from the AI boom. Prices will still be really high. I think that'd be bad. If it's late 2028, which I think would be best for the industry, I think you would see much more competition. That gives Xbox a couple of years to figure their stuff out, which I'm optimistic can happen, but that would give them some more time to figure it out. And it would give also the market more time to stabilize when it comes to like RAM prices and all of the problems we've seen there. So long story short, I think that this is just bad and sucks, and I don't think it's going away anytime soon. I think the soonest it could be adjusted is at the start of next generation when they anchor the price at a new spot. I do think the new price anchor is going to be higher than 500 though. I think the new price anchor is certainly looking more like $700 to $800 for the start of the next gen console. And then they'll have a premium version that's over $1,000. I know some people are thinking the base console might be upwards of $1,000, but my stance and my perspective is that if they do that, you'll just see what's happened this generation happen even more severely. At $1,000, I think the PlayStation 6, you will get diehard people that buy it. You will get high earners and big spenders buying it regardless, but I think it will price out a massive number of people. And those people will stay on their last gen console for years and years and years until there start to be sales or reasons for them to get into the next gen. And that's going to mean that everything becomes cross-generational. The next generation is not going to really feel like a big leap forward or step forward. It's just going to be kind of a blending of last gen into this gen, which is kind of what happened this time around. And I don't think it'll actually like address anything. I think they will see less units sold with a higher price point, and it will leave them in a worse spot than if they went lower, ate some of the upfront cost, and then had a lot more people get into the ecosystem. Ultimately, though, I hope that we just see more. I hope that we see more competition and we see prices getting bid down lower and lower and lower, because that's what I think needs to happen for the health of the industry. But I don't think that happens until there's real competition. And that's why I'm hoping that Xbox, for example, can get their crap together. That's my hope. PS6 at $1,500. Oh, please no. Please no. I'm saving up for the inevitable $800 OLED Switch 2 in a couple years. Never say never. Yeah, wouldn't surprise me either. Wouldn't surprise me either. The reason why we've been able to see, or why these big companies have been able to raise prices the way they have, is because people kept buying it. For example, people were always like, why does Apple keep raising prices? And they would say like manufacturing's more expensive and things like that, even before the AI and memory problems. But what we saw was that Apple was raising prices on their iPhones a lot, and their margins were growing a lot. It was clear Apple was raising the price from $800 to $1,000 and then $1,000 to $1,200 for the iPhone top line models, because people were still buying it. Because people would still buy it. They would finance it through Verizon or AT&T or T-Mobile or whatever. And so it didn't feel that expensive to them because it was broken up into monthly payments that they didn't have to think about as hard. And so Apple got their money. They're good. Who cares if the price was raised? For you, it was only an extra $4 a month, right? Over the course of a 3-year agreement, but still. The difference here is that I think gamers tend to be much more in tune with like pricing. They're much more online, and they're very savvy in that way. And I don't think that you can pull the same stuff that you can with like cell phones as you can in the gaming space. I just don't think it goes well. Who finances a console or a phone or leases one, as I showed you? I think a lot of people, more than you would think. More than you would think. And for a lot of people, it's their hobby. It's something that they love. They love gaming. They love this industry. They love the art form. And so for them, they can justify financing it and paying every month to get into it. What sucks is that now the price is just getting so freakishly high for what you're getting. In addition to $70 AAA games, all the microtransactions, all the subscriptions and everything, that it's just getting to the point where a lot of people will not be able to afford it. Full stop. And that just sucks. A phone is a necessary device, though. Yeah, I mean, I think in the modern marketplace, it basically is. I think a lot of people, though, would describe their gaming device as like their primary hobby. And so it's how they socialize with their friends. It's what they do when they get back from work. So they might see it as a close to necessary device, which is why this will suck for a lot of people if, you know, this continues to spill over into next gen, which I think it probably will. Google says that 35 to 45% of Americans finance new phones. Honestly, as an American, I'm surprised the number is that low. I'm kind of surprised it's that low because most people that I know, they do the like 2-year agreement where they sign up for a 2-year contract and they pay their phone off over the course of the 2 years. And then you know how they phrase it? They say, you got a free upgrade when you pay off your contract. So you finance your phone for 2 years, you get a free upgrade. It's not a free upgrade. You just paid off your device. So you can trade it in now and finance a new device. It's not a free upgrade. That's literally not what it is. It's madness. I know people who buy new phones every year. I may or may not do that. Sometimes I will upgrade twice in a year. I have a problem. But I'm reckless. I'm irresponsible. Okay, so don't come at me. Among under 35s, it's probably 60%. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. I would totally agree with that. Like why? I'm techie, so I like the latest tech. And to be fair, like as with all spending, I guess maybe we should couch this to wrap it up. If you are in a very financially stable position and you've got expendable income, you're an adult. You can buy this for $900. I mean, I'd buy it today, so you can buy it for $750 instead. But there's nothing wrong with you earning money and spending money if you want to spend it. If you want to spend all of your money on mobile games, more power to you. I will make fun of you. I will tease you, but more power to you. That's your God-given right. I think it's in Leviticus. It says something about mobile game spending and how you have the right to do it. You can do whatever you want. What I'm talking about more is the broader market implications of doing this, because there's a lot of people who cannot afford this, and that this starts to price them out. A lot of people who were thinking of maybe getting into the gaming industry with GTA 6 who are now going to see these prices and be like, oh my God, what happened? What happened? You know, honestly, if you don't have the money and let's say hypothetically, if you were interested in getting into the PS5, either the Pro or the base model, and you wanted to get into it, maybe you think Saros looks really, really baller, which it is pretty baller. It's a good time. Maybe you want to get in there for GTA 6 because the PC port's going to be like a year and a half away. If you have the money now, I would just get it now, because it's going to be $750 through April 1st. And then on April 2nd, it skyrockets up to $900. If you don't have the money now, don't put it on a credit card. Don't do that. And don't do none of that stuff. Okay. Instead, like seriously, just wait. Just wait. Black Friday will come along. PlayStation was one of the only gaming companies that had like really solid Black Friday deals. I think they took like $100 off of everything. So like the PS5 Pro went down to $650. So it wouldn't surprise me if for Black Friday, maybe it's different this year, to be fair. I just realized because GTA 6 will be launching like 2 weeks later. So maybe they don't do it this year, but at least last year they would have knocked this down to like $799 instead. So, you know, if you don't have the money now and you really want to get into it, just wait. Black Friday is after GTA 6. Wait, which day is Black Friday then? Because I thought Black Friday 2026. Oh no, it is. Okay, I was thinking it was a week, like a little over a week earlier. I thought it was like, for some reason in my brain, it was like November 18th or something. But no, Black Friday is November 27th, and GTA 6 launches on the 19th, is it? I think. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised in that case coming out after GTA 6. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they knock like $100 off of it. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, so that's happened. It's sad day. But this is not going away through the end of the generation. I'm betting you they're not going to lower prices. They'll put it on sale occasionally. It's going to be stuck here for a long time, and I think it will stay at roughly this price point through next generation 2 unless there's some actual competition. Otherwise, I wouldn't be surprised if the like PlayStation 6 anchors at like $699 or $799 for the start of next generation. Because if people are still going to buy it at this price point, they'll buy it for $50 more if it's an actual leap forward. But we'll see. We'll see. He took my thing.